Commander Zeltok of the Hegemony Fleet watched the massive cargo pods descend through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. Each pod contained a dozen Ravagers, bioengineered killing machines bred specifically for planetary subjugation. The humans had rejected the Hegemony's ultimatum to surrender their resource-rich world, so now they would face the consequences. Release confirmed, Commander, his tactical officer reported. 120 Ravagers deployed across 7 major population centers. Zeltok's mandibles clicked in satisfaction. The Ravagers were perfect weapons. 10 feet tall, covered in chitinous armor, possessing razor-sharp claws and an insatiable hunger for flesh. They had conquered 43 worlds without a single failure. The primitive humans, with their crude kinetic weapons, would last perhaps 3 rotations before complete subjugation. Dr. Elena Martinez crouched behind the overturned medical transport, her hands shaking as she loaded another tranquilizer dart. The creature that had been stalking her research team was unlike anything in Earth's fossil record, a nightmare fusion of predator and armor plating. But Elena had spent 15 years studying apex predators, and she noticed something the alien commanders clearly hadn't. The beast was injured. Not from human weapons, its wounds were older, poorly healed. More importantly, it moved with the desperation of a starving animal. These weren't just weapons. They were tortured, malnourished creatures driven by pain and hunger. Maya, are you getting this? Elena whispered into her communicator, filming the creature as it searched for her scent. Every second, Dr. Martinez, her research assistant, replied from the mobile lab 3 blocks away. The metabolic readings are insane. This thing burns calories like a fusion reactor. Elena's mind raced. A creature this size, with this level of aggression and energy expenditure, would need massive amounts of food. The aliens had essentially dropped starving predators into a world full of potential prey, but they'd made a critical miscalculation about human nature. Across the city, Captain James Wright had reached the same conclusion through a different path. The military response to the creatures had been typically human, chaotic, creative, and completely unpredictable. Instead of engaging the beasts directly, Wright's unit had started herding them. "Sir, the creature's following the meat trail perfectly," Sergeant Rodriguez reported, dropping another chunk of raw beef as they retreated toward the industrial district. Wright grinned. The aliens had clearly never studied human warfare. Humans didn't just fight their enemies, they turned their enemies' strengths into weaknesses. And these creatures had one overwhelming weakness. They were animals driven by instinct. 2 hours later, Elena's theory proved correct in the most spectacular way possible. The first Ravager to reach the city's main food distribution center didn't attack the humans barricaded inside. It gorged itself on the stockpiled meat until it collapsed from overeating. Within minutes, the creature was in a food coma so deep that children could have approached it safely. The pattern repeated across the globe. Humans didn't just fight the Ravagers, they fed them, studied them, and in some cases actually managed to communicate with them. A teenager in Mumbai discovered that the creatures responded to classical music. A veterinarian in Sao Paulo successfully performed surgery on an injured Ravager, earning what could only be described as gratitude from the beast. Commander Zeltok received the reports with growing disbelief. His perfect weapons were being domesticated. "Sir," his communications officer stammered, "we're receiving a transmission from the planet's surface. It's one of the humans." Dr. Martinez appeared on the view screen, standing confidently next to a Ravager that wore what appeared to be a makeshift collar and was eating from a food bowl. "Commander Zeltok, I presume," she said calmly. "I'm Dr. Elena Martinez, xenobiologist. I wanted to thank you for the fascinating research opportunity. Your Ravagers are remarkable creatures, though clearly malnourished and traumatized. We've been treating their wounds and providing proper nutrition." Behind her, the Ravager made a sound that was almost purring. "We've also discovered they're highly intelligent and capable of forming emotional bonds," Elena continued. "Several have already been adopted by local families. We're prepared to offer you a deal. Recall your fleet, and we'll help you establish proper care protocols for these magnificent animals. Otherwise, we'll be forced to report your cruelty to the Galactic Wildlife Protection Agency." Zeltok's mandibles clicked in frustration. Somehow, impossibly, the humans had turned his weapons into pets. The hegemony fleet withdrew 3 days later, leaving behind a planet of humans who had just discovered they weren't alone in the universe, and that sometimes the scariest aliens were the ones who underestimated Earth's greatest weapon, their capacity for compassion.